point.
And it's not like he's frightened of a bit
That was the
sledging, is it?
That was the. And we shouldn't detract from the great improvisational off-the-cuff thing from Liam Farrell there, because that pass wasn't really meant for him. It was kind of a misguided pass that landed his way, and he did a great job to catch release, sort out the situation, and get Wigan a try for Oliver Gildart.
Yeah.
Now, that was the first talking to. That was in, the eighth or ninth minute.
Yeah.
That was the first talking to where the ref got both captains together. Before that point, I think there'd probably been a couple of late-ish kind of hits, but none of them were bad. No. They were things you see in every game, regardless of who's playing. This narrative that Wigan turned up angry and were trying to cause trouble from the start. I think Wigan will have been annoyed. Totally will have been annoyed.
Were at it.
But I don't think it was a Wigan caused aggravation. No. It was a two sides.
It was two groups of players who
caused aggregation.
Who fought out a very tightly contested Challenge Cup final, getting at each other.
Yeah, and my version of where the aggro started was firmly Jake Connor on Sam Tompkins. Yeah. That was the first bit of foul play that was missed by the ref, I thought, as well. And then there was that talking to. There was then another talking to up the other end of the field that I can't remember if it was around the Fanua try or I can't remember when that was. But
it was before the Fanua try.
There was a second talking to up the Wigan end of the field where he had both captains together again. Then there was the third talking to when Wigan got given the penalty on the 19th minute when there was I think there was like a loose offload that was possibly adjudged to have been a knock-on, even though I don't think it was a knock-on by Wigan. It was a 50-50 call anyway. Albert Kelly went after McAlorum when McAlorum sort of fought him for the ball, let's say. Yeah. And I don't think there was anything untoward in that section of it. But once McAlorum got the ball, Albert Kelly basically grabbed him up by the neck, didn't he? And swung him back down. McAlorum took offence to that, which you would expect most rugby league players to, certainly ones who have got a shorter fuse than others, and I think that's probably what Albert Kelly wanted to happen, let's be honest. He wanted to try and get him sent off or something. And at that point, both those two players should have been put in the sin bin. Talking to the captains
had failed.
At that point in time, it's the third time in a 10-11 minute spell. Yeah. Clearly was doing nothing because there was so much stuff bubbling up. The next flashpoint was gonna be handled differently by Hicks at that point, because he felt, as the referee, I've done everything I can to give you players an opportunity to not do something stupid and dangerous here. And then a couple of minutes later, I think Hull got a penalty, didn't they? And was it from the tap from the penalty or? That Watts carried it in. McAlorum came charging across, as he often does, and as I don't always like seeing him do, because he generally doesn't get those tackles quite right and normally falls off the man. On this occasion, because Liam Watts changed his ball carrying arm, twisted his body to the side and moved it and promoted his arm forwards to fend off the man that he's seen flashing at very quick speed, that has led to McAlorum not making the contact he would normally make, because the body position of the defender, the attacker, maybe most attackers don't normally have the foresight to spot that, and are looking more at the A and B defender and not the C defender. But obviously Watts has clocked it.
Got it, hasn't he? Yeah.
And he's gone to fend. Now, if he was, like Scott Taylor said after the game, if he was fending off a bigger player, he wouldn't have smacked him right in the head. I don't think, even though I think there was malice in the game, I think the malice in the game should have been taken out of it sooner, and I don't think that incident was because of the malice in the game necessarily, but the game had heightened to a point where any flare-up, any serious thing, and we know the game is refereed and judged in the tribunals and all of that, as much on outcome as it is on intent or causality, unfortunately. Yeah. So I think this sending off was due to two things. The players never actually addressing the situation that the referee approached them at, and that referee not addressing that himself is one part of it, and the other part of it is that Liam Watts kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is not what I expected. Well, actually, it is what I expected. You never give me what I want. But yeah.
I think the red card was harsh. I think what it should have been is on report, because they wouldn't have been able to tell the exact intent of the player carrying the ball at that point. I think there was an intent to fend off the tackler, but that's reasonable. I don't think there was an intent to knock out.
No.
But because the guy got knocked out, that outcome influences the decision. And he did hit him in the upper arm,
yes he did,
elbow, forearm, all that area. All of that area made contact with McIlaurin's head at some point through that motion, and he did promote that arm towards him, albeit not as pronounced as it maybe looked in super slow-mo or whatever.
This is the problem I have.
I would have said penalty to Wigan for direct contact to the head of an opponent, which I think any sort of direct contact that's forceful in a collision probably should be a penalty to try and eradicate it, because you can't, even though you say you can't, you could eradicate that. He could have twisted his body the other way and had McIlaurin hit him chest on, rather than twist away from McIlaurin, swap his ball carrying hand and move his arm out, which is what he did to deflect the tackle.
He does that so quickly.
I'm not saying that he should be... I'm saying that's an alternative way of dealing with... That is what I'm saying. If he was so quick of thought that he was able to...
He's not that quick of thought.
But what I'm saying, Tom, is if you're judging him on that, you can say there was another way of doing it without potentially hitting the head of the opposite player. What I would say is you put it on report so it can be reviewed properly, because the emotion of the occasion and all of that, and a video referee shouldn't be... All the video referee can really tell him there is the arm has made contact with the head. But... how many times do we see the arm making contact with the head and it not getting a send-off decision? So you couldn't be certain about what built up to it. If you felt like it was an element of carelessness on the ball carrier's behalf, you could have given a yellow card, I suppose. I think on report, but penalty to Wigan for the head contact, and that would have sorted that out, but it should never have got to that, because Kelly and McIlaurin should have been in the bin.
Yeah, I don't even think McIlaurin should have been in the bin. I think just at that point...
I think he threw a punch.
No, I know he threw a punch, but I would just put Kelly in for 10 minutes.
I don't think you can just put one of them there.
No?
I think no.
Right.
I think if you'd have just put Kelly in the bin, to be honest, someone would have got sent off from Hull FC, because they would have done worse than what they did. They would have done it with certain intent rather than possible intent, and I'm telling you that because I've seen those players do it, because they're tough players who defend their little players. They are hard players, and you've got to like them for that.
I love it for that.
But that's what's his biggest downturn is he's fractionally across that line, same as McIlaurin is.
This is who made the point that this is one of the best games he'd seen all year. I really enjoyed this. I like the old-fashioned stuff as well. I feel Liam Watts has been harshly treated. I'm not going to go on and belabor the point, because you made a lot of the points I wanted to make, and I agree with you. No, that's fine. But this whole super slow-mo makes him look like he's lined up McIlaurin, shifted the ball into the other hand, and brought his elbow up to chin him. What I would say is watch it at full speed, where you see a Liam Watts going at full tilt to pick up a pretty flat pass from a tap, right, at full tilt, where he gathers the ball in, and it's a little ahead of him in his run, not a forward pass, but it's ahead of him in his run, so it comes past him and goes into his left arm, which I'm pretty certain is not his favoured arm. He gathers it, and in one motion, it goes into that left side of his chest and arm, into what is probably the safer area in his mind for him carrying the ball, the secure part of his body, gripped by his right arm, and instinctively raises an arm to see what's coming out of the corner of his eye. That's what happens at full tilt, and it happens in the space of one really fast Liam Watts stride. It happens in the absolute click of a finger. When you slow it down that amount, it looks fucking horrific, but it puts
when the players completely knocked out on the floor, it looks horrific. And when Jake Connor runs in celebrating,
Jake Connor was a dickhead.
I'm sorry, he should have been put in the bin for celebrating. That's disgusting. How is that appropriate behaviour?
Oh, it's just look. I don't know if it goes...
I'm so angry with Jake Connor celebrating.
No, it's a knobhead thing to do, because you don't know at that point whether McIlaurin has hit the ground dead.
He's ran past him, though, so he knows he's knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't know. It was a shitty dickhead move. But talking about... The two things are separate, because Liam Watts, there was absolutely no intention for that to happen. This is an unfortunate outcome of things that sometimes happen in rugby league, and it's not McIlaurin's fault for having shite tackling technique. It's just a combination of those two things happening, and it wasn't part of the narrative of the game in terms of the niggle that had been going on between these two sides. It's just...
I don't think you can... I don't I don't get how you can say Liam Watts was magnificent with his handwork and his footwork, so McIlaurin's tackle technique was shit.
No.
But I don't get how you can build this narrative like a lot of Hull fans have when you've got to remember McIlaurin was going at speed too.
Yeah.
So why is Liam Watts going? Why is the speed of the situation a mitigating factor for Liam Watts' arm hitting someone in the head, but not a mitigating factor for someone's head being in the wrong position in a tackle? That is something I don't get, Tom. I'm just putting that out there.
But it is a mitigating. But to me, it is a mitigating factor.
No, to you it is. I'm just asking why.
Oh, because Hull fans are Hull fans, mate, and they're looking at it through Hull. Of course, fans are fans. Right?
That's me. I'm being a fan right now, aren't I?
Fans are fans. Liam Watts is a phenomenal prop forward, and he has got, it doesn't matter what McIlaurin's previous is, he has got form for getting the odd red card here and there, which I think might have gone against him in this instance, possibly as well.
Unfortunately,
in this case, I don't think he was at fault, and I think that there should have been action taken earlier in the game to mitigate this situation. Yeah. And when this presented itself, I think the referee maybe panicked a little bit and maybe pulled the wrong card out. And had he had the benefit of hindsight, probably would do something differently. But I think the early stuff with Robert Hicks, what he was trying to achieve in talking to the captains, was to avoid this early sin-binning / sending off moment that would spoil the spectacle, because it's two sides that had a lot to compete for, very close to each other in the table, similar in the way that their seasons have panned out, with a bit of inconsistency and finding some form and what have you. And it was
two evenly matched sides. Very evenly matched between them have shown Hull have fabulously marginally better.
So exciting to watch, and from my point of view, it didn't really ruin the spectacle because Hull made a real fist of it in the second half, and that's the thing I want to move on to talk about as we talk about the game more broadly.
Do you think Hull lost this game because of the sending off?
No, if anything, they were close to bloody winning it because of the sending off. I think.
Do you think they beat Castleford earlier in the season because of the sending off, or do you think?
I think to a certain degree, galvanised.
They knocked out a more important player in that one in Luke Gale rather than Michael McIlaurin, who's more replaceable.
No, come on.
No, it's true though, isn't it?
The player that got injured they didn't knock anyone. It wasn't.
He got knocked out.
Yes, yeah, he was. But they didn't go out knocking out Michael McIlaurin, did they?
I'm sorry, I don't mean it in the context
left the field of play was more influential.
The player who was knocked out by the incident that led to the red card in both occasions was probably a more integral player for Castleford in that game.
Particularly when you've got Sam Powell to call on for you guys, who's done a more than adequate job.
Exactly.
Grand
final winner, Challenge Cup, World Club Challenge final winner. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think the game.
No, I don't think the sending off did lose it for Hull. In fact, if anything, look. There was a sloppy pass that led to an intercept. There was bits and pieces that went on.
There was a forward pass.
Yeah, there was other things that happened in this game that lost this for Hull.
A little bit about the forward pass.
And I'm sure it will.
I'm not saying
I'm answering your question.
I'm not.
Because I don't think the sending off lost the game for Hull. Yeah, in fact, I think if they'd kept 13 men on the field, they might have been more likely to lose it.
Well,
and they might not have got the lead. They might not have galvanised them in the way it clearly did.
Yeah.
Especially in that period of the second half where they came back at you.
Yeah,
I was ready to turn it off at one point. I was ready to go, well, this is done now.
Well, if Oliver Gildart hadn't left that try out there early when the golden edge comment came in, I think Taylor and Minicello coming back on. Taylor came on a little bit earlier than Minicello came back on. But when those two came back on in the second half, they got a rise from the team, from the crowd. They almost brought a different attitude to the way the game was being played by Hull, because some of the players for Hull did feel like they were defeated, maybe, and then they came on and switched that around, and I think that was really impressive to see. And then Wigan had to dig deep, because we've seen last year in the eights, Wigan beat Warrington with a man down. We saw this year, and that was when Warrington were, a good team. This year we saw Hull beat Castleford when they were a man down, and obviously Castleford are a very good team. So we've seen these
things happen.
Surprise results occur. Well, I did a whole piece on it, didn't I, earlier this season? A blog piece which basically said, it gives you a bit of an advantage, but
not as big as you'd think.
Not as big as you'd think.
Exactly.
And so Wigan did have to dig deep, because they were struggling too. They'd had a man down on the bench off the interchange wise. I know you've still got more men on the field, and then you came up against a very tenacious Hull side led by fantastic performances by Taylor and Minicello in that period.
Yeah, Sikamani had a phenomenal game for them as well. Mahafen, who was Going to be massively missed for them. That finish for was it his first try where he just bounced the young lad?
Yeah, Marshall got in a battle, got his feet planted, didn't he?
Yeah, he was just there was one.